Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? This is Astro here, doing the full moon reading. The full moon's in Gemini, 0 degrees Gemini, 52 minutes to be exact. And we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna be seeing what's up with this full moon or whatever. Okay. So of course, when it comes to full moon and its exactness. When the full moon's in Gemini, 0 degrees and 52 minutes, the sun is in Sag, 0 degrees, 52 minutes, because full moons are basically when the sun and moon are opposite. Okay. Now, let me explain what full moon is, just in case I have any newbies here, or just in case y'all forgot. But basically, the full moon, again, is when the sun and the moon are in opposite directions, or in opposite signs, right? And the moon represents our emotions, while the sun represents our reactions to things and our identity. And so what's happening is we're feeling one way, but we're reacting the total opposite, and it's causing conflict. This is why people, this is what the term lunatics come from, because you feel this confliction because you feel one way, but the universe is kind of pushing you to be another, and it causes anguish, and people tend to do crazy things. You get what I'm saying? That's why people act nutty. That's why the waves are big. It's just a lot of conflict, and it's being risen up. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the energy of the full moon, okay? So I'm gonna get, I can't even talk. Wow, I'm gonna get wow, what is going on? Mercury retrograde. I tell you this all the time. When Mercury does something funny, it affects me greatly, because my sun is conjunct Mercury. So I'm all like, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? I usually edit this, but I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to let y'all understand my crazy Mercury-ness all in its glory, Anywho. Now I'm going to get specific about this particular full moon, okay? This full moon, of course, like I said, is in Gemini, 0 degrees, 52 minutes. And that means that the moon is in the first decan of Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. It's the Mercury decan. The Gemini is already ruled by Mercury, so it's like super duper Mercury. So this is like the purest energy of Gemini here. Same with the sun. The sun is going to be in Sagittarius, the first decan of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter. Jupiter is already ruled by Sagittarius, so it's the purest form of Sag sun. You get what I'm saying? So with this energy, what's going to be happening here is that when it comes to our emotions, right, we're going to be definitely thinking about them in a logical way. We're going to feel, but then we're going to be thinking back like, okay, why did I do that? Let's break this down. Let's understand. I want to go through some self-realization with my emotions. Like, let me understand why I do the things I do. Is it because of the community that I come from? Is it because of my surroundings? And you really try to break things down in a logical sense. And what Geminis tend to do is be about what's around them at the moment and learn from what's around them. So if you have a whole bunch of people around you and you're a Gemini, you go from one person talk to another person and talk to another person and talk, understand their minds, kind of really get what they're coming from and see what you can learn from it. You know what I mean? That's how they kind of go through the process of self-realization. They're true social butterflies. You know what I mean? And because they are gatherers of information, and they're known as being quite intellectual, quite smart, can kind of talk with the best of them. You know what I mean? And so it's a beautiful energy. It really is. And so we're going to be doing that specifically with our emotions. We might talk about our emotions, but more in a logical way. Not with emotions involved. This is air, so we're going to be quite detached. But what we're trying to kind of just really understand why we feel the way we feel, why we do the things we do, and kind of learn from what's around us, our community, what's the people that we hang out with, what we're familiar with. We try to learn from that. Now, our sun is actually as in Sagittarius, and it's asking us to learn, yes, but learn from what's not around you. Learn from what's totally different from you, what's totally foreign from you. Learn about different philosophies, different beliefs, different cultures, go to different countries, travel long distance, really get to understand what else is in the world. And Sagittarius's vibe is kind of like, let's look at what other people think and kind of see if it fits with us. You know what I mean? See, kind of hold their truths to heart as well, to kind of understand where we come from. And so Gemini's local, Sagittarius is international. And so that's how we are feeling. We want to identify with discovering the world. We want to react by discovering the world and like anything that's foreign to us. But deep down inside, when it comes to our emotions, we're like, no, I just want to kind of learn from what's familiar to me, because it'll be easier for me to learn this way if I learn what's familiar. The interesting thing about Gemini and Sag, the polarity too, is that Gemini is the person that will, well, let me tell you like this. Sages are the people who will look up different philosophies, beliefs, religions, texts, and all that stuff, like all that stuff, right? And if it's coming from an expert, they hold it as true, right? Geminis are always questioning. Geminis are like, let me test it out. Let me make sure it's true. You know what I mean? Let me see if this is right. Like, they don't fully trust someone just because they're a quote unquote expert. So that's kind of what is going on too. What we're identifying with and how we're reacting to things is like, let's learn about what else is out there from experts and kind of take it in and see what it means to us. Gemini's like, no, I rather test it out and figure it out myself. And because that's such a big thing, testing out all these philosophies and religions and foreign ideas, right? They rather just do it locally because it's easier and it's more familiar. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the difference of the polarities of this full moon. The full moon, your emotions want to be very logical when it comes to your emotions and handle it with familiarity, while the sun, how you identify with things and how you react to things, it's like, no, I want to go out, okay? I want to travel long distance and really get to understand myself through these different beliefs and philosophies and see how they fit me. You know what I mean? So it's definitely some very interesting energy here. It's the purest form of Gemini, purest form of sun, of Sag, excuse me. And it's deep ass energy here for sure. Okay. It's definitely the fullest energy or purest energy of Jupiter too, because Sag is conjuncting Jupiter is conjuncting the sun in Sag. So it's just super duper Jupiter. We're really identifying with things that are different from us, but deep down inside we don't want to. We want to stick to what's familiar and learn from there. It's not that we don't want to learn. We want to be like mundane and boring. We just feel like it's best to learn from what's around you first. What I want to name this video is, don't forget where you came from. That's definitely a Gemini vibe. You know what I mean? One thing that I notice about Gemini risings, they will rep where they're from and they don't even care if it's somewhere totally different. Like a Gemini rising could be from freaking Antarctica. Like, Antarctica, bitch, what's up, bitch? Like, they don't play. They really rep their set, rep where they're from, and they don't give a damn. They're so proud, And so while Sag is kind of like, yeah, around my way is cool, but let's see what's out there in the world, So that's the difference here. Well, let's talk about some of these aspects though. The first aspect that I see is that North Node is sextile the moon, but trine the sun, which of course means that South Node is doing vice versa, trining the sun and trining the moon and sextile the sun. But let's focus a little bit on the North Node first, okay? So, with that energy, I kind of feel that, of course, with this North Node, what we need to be doing is nurturing and kind of add in our emotion, our more sensitive emotions and sensible even emotions, as well as like kind of going back to our beginnings, whether it's ancestral, whether it's home beginnings, family beginnings, to really get a hold of our emotions. That's what's holding really, really deep. And like with the sun trining this energy, you know, our emotions, of course, are connected to our philosophies and our desires and our passions, which was Sagittarius was representing. And so, of course, that energy is very harmonious and it's flowing through easily. So, you know, where the sun is at, where the general focus of the conscious of the universal consciousness is flowing really well with the North Node, because our philosophies and our desires really do stem from our home life and our emotions and our family life. And, you know, even with our desires, like we feel like what we can do is what we feel we can do is based off of our background, right? Which of course we know that Cancer is all about that. But with this sextile energy, which is really interesting, it's sextiling, you know, the moon, and you know, this of course this energy is agreeable, but the moon kind of wants to go from a different perspective. It's kind of like instead of dreaming big, instead of putting yourself out there and discovering the world, let's kind of understand where we come from first. You know what I mean? To really get an understanding of the passions that we have. Understand where we come from, understand our community, really understand our background. And, you know, the moon is in Gemini, so of course it's closer to the North Node vibe. It's closer, you know, it's literally transitioning into the North Node. You know, Gemini and Cancer represents community, of course, communication, but community and siblings. So it's literally progressing energy. And so even though it's coming from a different perspective, what the moon is asking is like, try to think of it this way. Let's understand where we come from first. Let's understand our faults and work through them before we bring it out to the other world. Let's fully get an understanding of who we are before we immerse ourselves into a different philosophy, belief, religion that is, you know, way different from where we come from. So we could just have both ideas fully. We understand both ideas fully. We both understand both ways of being fully before, you know, we choose which way is better, or we choose which part of it resonates with what we know with our lives, you know, and picking and choosing like the philosophies that kind of resonates with us, or the ways of life or ways of being or whatever. You get what I'm saying? And so that's what that energy is really kind of flowing on, which is really interesting. Again, it's that whole theme of not forgetting where you come from and really understanding where you came from, so you can understand your emotions deeply. So when this full moon energy is done for the week, we can really start embodying the energy of the sun and letting in these new philosophies and beliefs and religions and following our passion, so we can truly like this, you know, discover like we're supposed to during this Sag sun. So, you know, again, this week, try to do that, okay? Next aspect is that Chiron retrograde is sextile the moon and trine the sun. With Chiron retrograde, you know, actually it's not sextile, I'm sorry. Wait, is it? I'm sorry, y'all. It is. I'm sorry. I am so tripping. I keep looking at Uranus and thinking that it's Chiron, even though their signs look totally different. Tripping. Okay, anyways, with this energy, let's talk about I'll talk about the sun first. So Chiron is trining the sun. Again, very harmonious energy here. We are really identifying with this whole idea of understanding our self-undoing, our past with like self-sabotage and self-undoing, and trying to heal that. We are fully understanding, like, listen, this is something that we need to focus on. We need to react to this energy that's poking at us. Of course, not react externally, but react internally. Try to work through our feelings and realize our self-undoings, realize our self-sabotaging ways so we can heal it and so we can fix it. Do you get what I'm saying? And so, of course, this energy is easily flowing through. And it's funny because technically Sag and Pisces are not energies that are trying. They're actually energies that square, but because it's early Sag and late Pisces, it's actually working. And so we're actually taking the initiative to really reflect on our past, our childhood traumas connected to our self-undoing and self-sabotaging ways so we can fix it, heal it, connect spiritually, open our minds up, and just truly heal. You get what I'm saying? But with the moon right now, the moon said, okay, that's cool. I get you want to identify with, your self-undoing. In particular, you want to find different philosophies and beliefs or religions that will help you do that. But again, the moon is saying that you have other shit to heal, connecting to you personally, how you communicate and how that's connected to your self-undoing, your thinking process, and how that's messing with your self-undoing. Are you speaking and thinking negatively, and that's the way you're kind of creating self-sabotage? That's how you're limiting yourself? That's how you're institutionalizing yourself? Do you really need to look at the philosophy to figure that out, or do you need to reflect? Especially since Chiron's retrograde. Like the moon's kind of just bring us back center. Believe it or not, Gemini is centering us and grounding us. Like, wait. You really don't have to go that far and read that much and do all of that to find your answers. That's really what it's saying, which is so deep. And it's like, of course, it's easy for us to try to run away, especially with these mutable energies. And it's trining too, which is funny. It's easy for us to just fly away, try to run away. But Gemini, believe it or not, is saying like, wait. Let's go back. Let's think about our upbringing, our siblings and their upbringing, our community, and how we think, how we communicate, how does all those things are connected. And is that, is the way that we brought up, is that messing up our self-undoing? You know what I mean? Just trying to making us just reel it back in. Okay? Again, dope energy. Mars is square the moon and the sun, right? Because Mars is in 4 degrees Pisces, okay? So with this energy is a little bit tricky because it's creating a T-square. And it's not so nice. I'll talk about the T-square later. But generally with this energy, our drive and our motivation is basically all over the place. And it's truly based off of not only our emotions, but our other people's emotions, because we're becoming so empathic with this Mars Pisces energy. Now, the moon wants us to really think through our feelings, communicate to other people in a logical way, just kind of think through our emotions in a logical way to find out the answers of why we're being held back, while the sun is kind of like, again, let's discover, let's figure out what's going on. Let's go out there. Let's move. Let's try something different. And maybe if we immerse ourselves in that, it will work. And what basically was happening with Mars don't know where to go and what to choose. And I'll get a little bit deeper into that when I talk about the aspect patterns that are happening here, because there is definitely a T-square happening that needs to be talked about. And I'll get into details with that, okay? And if you are a Patreon subscriber, then you will know, okay? Okay. Hit me up on Patreon. Just saying. Patreon.com/AstroDim. Support the kid. So next one. Jupiter is opposite the moon and conjunct the sun. So Jupiter conjunct the sun. Like, I know everyone's feeling that We're having this strong energy within the universe of, again, trying to discover, trying to see what's different and how we can jump on it, following our passions sort of haphazardly because we want to, because we have the desire to, having good luck around us, finding prosperity and abundance around us and really relishing in it, right? The thing is, what's happening is, it is happening, the good luck and prosperity, but the thing is, it's like, we are thinking about it a lot more than anything. Like, yeah, we're having little gifts and little awesome things that are happening, which is amazing. You should definitely be grateful for it. But we are more thinking about it and wanting it more than anything. The moon is kind of telling you that you need to reel it back a little bit. Okay? The moon is saying that in order to fully be able to experience the abundance, experience following your passions and being in desires and being happy about it, fully understand those different philosophies, beliefs, religions, cultures, countries, whatever, you need to, again, reel back to where you came from, reel back to your own issues and what your issues are. Some people literally just go somewhere because they want to change, not realizing why they want to change, not realizing if they're running away from something, not realizing what they're doing wrong to make them want to run away. Now, I'm not saying Sagittarius energy runs away. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, you have to think about mutable energy overall. They jump from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, right? And it's okay if you're doing it because, you just have a lot of ideas and you want to plan them out. But eventually you have to stick with something. You know what I mean? And so it does sometimes for the people, they might be running away. The boredom, it might not be technically boredom. It might be that you don't want to stick to something. Gemini is kind of saying, like, instead of using this energy to take action, like the fire of Sagittarius, and jumping from one thing to another thing, use that with your mind. Really try to use your logic and figure out, so why am I doing this? Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be this? Could it be that? And of course that, Gemini's energy is mutable too. And so Gemini's energies, you're going to think of like 5,000 reasons on maybe why you're doing the things that you're doing. But that's why the moon progresses so fast, so we can settle on one idea and take action on it. You get what I'm saying? Which is when the moon turns into Leo. And so this is time for us to, instead of jumping around from place to place to place and getting lost, this is the time for us to brainstorm. Why do I want to jump and run away so much? You know what I mean? Why am I so stuck on taking action? Why am I running away from my problems? You know what I mean? Why can't I just settle for one thing at the moment? Am I technically running away? And once you really get an understanding of what that is, you become a little bit more focused, and that abundance and that prosperity of Sun conjunct Jupiter will be even grander, because it's coming as you have a focus. You're not just running and jumping and going towards a whole bunch of other things. You have a streamlined, focused idea, and then that Jupiter and Sun conjunction is just gonna shine so bright on it and give you so much abundance and prosperity. It's going to be fucking beautiful. Okay, trust me on that one. All right. So again, this is not a time for us to take action at the moment. It's a time for us to reflect on why we want to take the action. What are we doing? Are we running away? Why? Just the why. And that's what when you think about Gemini too. Gemini is so why. They are so that question, why? And that's why they're always trying to learn and pick up things and read things and talk to different people, be social butterflies, and they're just always trying to find info. It's because they're trying to find the why. And that's what we need to do. We need to brainstorm and try to find the why. And we don't have to get the answers exactly. Again, the moon transits fast for that reason. When the moon probably starts transiting to Cancer, we'll understand the deep emotions of it all. And it'll help us throw some things away. And then once we get to Leo, we'll really have the answers, and then we'll be able to push forward and have that central couple of ideas that we can focus on, so that Jupiter conjunct Sun can really amplify, right? Okay, amplify the I had to think about that one, y'all. The prosperity and abundance of the things that we really want to be passionate and focused on. You get what I'm saying? So remember that, please. Lastly, Black Moon Lilith is sextile the sun and trine the moon, which is really, really interesting. So at this moment, it's great with Black Moon Lilith trining the sun. We are really being reminded and putting an emotional focus to two things, specifically for women, to things that make us attractive, to the things that make us sexy, irresistible, tantalizing, right? And understanding our authority within it, understanding our power within that energy, which is really, really dope, and is strong, because with this moon being in Gemini, right, we are, emotions is definitely involved. Is we are kind of learning to create magic with our sexuality. And, the thing is with creating magic, it's, we have to add emotions. We have to emote to manifest, right? And so we're learning to emote and use our sexuality to manifest the things that we want in life, kind of taking authority over our own lives, our own reputation, our own status through our emotions and sexuality, and manifesting with those energies. So it's really, really dope. The energies are very agreeable because it's trining. And so it's just dope ass energy that's happening here. And with having that little twang of Gemini, since these energies usually in conjunct instead of trine, we are really, which is rare. This is rare energy that's happening. We are thinking logically with these emotions, right? And seeing what works, what doesn't work. And then we're going to add the practicality to get that authority. So it's just a wham bam type of energy that is sickening. Very, very dope. We can literally do some spells by accident just through these energies. It's amazing. And we, Gemini is known for being social. And so we can use this energy and practice it and use it for situations that we want, through being social, through communicating, through connecting with others, and manifesting what we want through our sexuality and our emotions. And so it's just, and claim authority over what we want to claim authority over, getting status, what we want status from, getting a reputation and recognition where we want it. So it's dope ass energy. Now, this is actually happening only this week. The new moon started around like 12 something a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, November 23rd. 3 days prior, we had this energy. And 3 days after, we're going to have this energy. So, up until the 26th. And so, again, this is rare energy because Capricorn energy and Gemini energy usually don't trine. It has to be when the energy is in late Capricorn and early Gemini. And so we need to take advantage of this. If you want something, you want to create that magic, create that motherfucking magic. You hear me? I'm not playing with y'all, okay? Really make it happen, okay? But with the sun, so what's going to usually happen after this, with Black Moon Lilith sextile and the sun, again, we're going to try to think of it more big picture. We're going to see, okay, how can we use this energy to not just manifest, to not just, use it with our sociability and with what's around us? How can we use our magic, our sexualized, emotive magic to take over the world? Not necessarily take over the world, but how can we get more out of it in an international way, in a globalized way, by using and studying from other philosophies, beliefs, and religions, and adding it on. And so we're going to be more on a study, discovering type of mode instead of a practicing kind of mode, in which we were in this week. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's going to be happening here. And that's how the energies are balancing off. It's going to be really, really interesting for sure. All right. So with all that being said, y'all, that is for the Patreons, right? I talked about this moon specifically. I talked about the aspects. This is not for the Patreons. This is for the free folks. Excuse me. It's Mercury retrograde, okay? But this is for the free folks. You know, I talked about the moon. I talked about what decan it's in. I talked about the aspects. But for my patrons on Patreon, I'm going to talk about the aspect patterns, which what's happening is a kite, which is a minor trine, with a grand trine, which is dope. I'm going to be talking about the T-square between the sun, the moon, and Mars more deeply. And I might just kind of give you a little report on that T-square that I mentioned before with that last new moon in Scorpio. I'm also going to be talking about the fixed stars that are conjuncting both the moon and the sun. Yeah. And then, of course, I'll be going through the houses, how the moon and the sun is going to be affecting you depending on your chart, okay? All right, y'all. So if you're interested in this and you're not a patron, go to patreon.com/astrodem. The cheapest that you can join is at $2 a month. It's not hurting you. But the more you give, the more you get. And you can kind of look at the tiers of membership and see what you can get from there, okay? All right, so I'm going to stop it here. Yep, I'm going to stop it here. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue for my patrons, okay? All right. Happy new moon for all the folks that's listening up to here. All right.